Yo, what's good? Top of the top, episode 214, Stash House Podcast. Your boy Tyler checking in. First time listeners, thank y'all for tuning in. If you tune in weekly, salute. And just an episode, saw some topics you may want to hear about. Salute to you as well. Like, share, subscribe, retweet, whatever did to help support the podcast. Greatly appreciate it. Podcast available on all streaming platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Anchor app, and all your preferred platforms you listen to podcasts on. You will find Stash House Podcast. Once again, thank y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all for the support, keeping me going. And I always got to start an episode like that because I'm really grateful for y'all to keep me going and show support. Now, this week, we jumping back into the NBA Finals. The Finals and the NBA season as a whole is winding down. So up until maybe August, September, it probably, unless something, drastic happens, it will be less sports talk on the podcast, but it's time for, I've been going crazy with the NBA playoffs with my coverage and my predictions, so I've been on a great run. And hopefully we keep this great run going with the finals. At the moment, the Denver Nuggets are up 3-1 on the Miami Heat. Game 5 will be Monday in Denver, so the Denver Nuggets will have a chance to close out in 5 in front of their home crowd and bring home the organization first NBA championship. Me personally, I believe it will happen. The tide has definitely turned after Game 2 because last week I came on, we were just into Game 1. Game 2, the Miami Heat tied the series up, mainly behind the 10-point fourth quarter of Duncan Robinson. So going back to Miami, the Heat definitely had a lot of momentum going back home. But, man, Denver, as Denver has been showing throughout these playoffs, clearly just the better team. Game 3, Jokic and Murray both had a 30-point triple-double. Amazing effort. And coming off the bench, they had the rookie, Brown, coming off the bench. I believe he gave them 15 points as well. But the defense for the Denver Nuggets, 3 games the Nuggets have beat the Miami Heat. They have held the Miami Heat under 100 points. And you can say, I think it's safe to say with the Cinderella story of the Miami Heat, the fatigue has definitely kicked in. And once again, you're just going up against the overall better team at this point. Jimmy Butler, he just seems to be coasting. Definitely not the playoff Jimmy we've been seeing throughout these playoffs. Bam Adebayo has been showing some effort. I do got to shout out to Bam Adebayo because of a lot of people from the Miami Heat fan base might have said, for us to even have a chance in this series, we need great input from Bam Adebayo. And for the most part, I'll say he's been doing that. But the role players, the Martins, the Vincents, the Kyle Lowrys, Kevin Love, a lot of the role players from the Miami Heat, I think that might have been their downfall. They're not hitting threes at an efficient rate. They're not being able to get to the paint that well. And it just, you can see it. You can see it in the gameplay when you got Jokic, who you just got to take what you can take from him. And then when you got other guys from the Denver Nuggets coming up as well, that length and all that, the bodies they got on defense, it's tough. It's tough on Miami Heat, and I believe the Cinderella story will come to the end. Game 4 was more of the same, not enough urgency on the Miami Heat side of things. In terms of the Nuggets, Gordon, he put in 27 points. Bruce Brown put in 21 points. So that's the difference maker in my opinion. The Nuggets, of course, they got Murray and Jokic doing their thing, but any given game, it showed any role player can step up. And for the Miami Heat, no role players have really stepped up at an efficient, constant rate. So I think that's the major difference in this finals. And I think by the time I release this episode, like I said, Game 5 is Monday night. I believe the Denver Nuggets will be your NBA champions behind Jokic and Murray. Jokic more than likely will be the NBA Finals MVP. Greatly deserved. I'm not, nothing you can really say about that. Overall, I've been enjoying the finals, though. I know a lot of people have been saying it's boring, the ratings low. And me, as a person who watches basketball through the 82-game season, too, by the way, unless it's like injuries or they resting players for load management or something like that. I'm watching the games throughout the season, so I don't really look at ratings and all that like that. The gameplay I've been enjoying is go back to the fundamentals. It goes back to the fundamentals. You got The Denver Nuggets, the dominant team in the West, led by a two-time MVP Jokic, going up against the Cinderella story Miami Heat, who lost the first game in the play-in, got the 8th seed, beat the Milwaukee Bucks, who I had favored to win the East, then taking out the Nets, then coming almost giving up a 3-0 lead to the Boston Celtics, making the finals. And still, they was able to get one game in Denver, but like I said before, they wasn't able to take over and get one game in Miami. But it's the Cinderella story. So we got the dominant team versus Cinderella story. That's the storyline. Me personally, I've been enjoying it. I think outside of game one, I probably watched the whole game from start to finish. It's been a great game up until probably, honestly, the fourth quarter. Honestly, the fourth quarter is when, I won't even say Denver is breaking away. You could just see Miami not showing enough effort. You know what I'm saying? I think Miami been in the game for most of the series. It just towards the end when Murray gets going, or we saw what Bruce Brown got going, when Denver just started making those dagger threes and those getting into the paint, making those layups and those dunks, those passes that they're doing to just suck the life out of Miami in the fourth quarter. That's what's been happening, in my opinion. That's exactly what's been happening, in my opinion. But once again, by the time I release this episode, I think the Denver Nuggets will be your NBA Finals champions in 5, which I predicted. So either way, I got to go with Nuggets in 5. You know what I'm saying? Because that was my prediction before the series started. But overall, I've been enjoying it. It just the fundamentals, and overall, Denver is just the better team. Now with some new music, we had a couple releases over the weekend I did not see coming from people who I rock with. First, we got Boldy James, a person I just talked about last week on the mid-year special. If you haven't already, check that out. Boldy James released a project called Prisoner of Circumstance, fully produced by Chan Hayes. I'm not too familiar with this producer. And Boldy James been doing this for the past 3 or 4 projects with a producer who I'm not familiar with. This one, Prisoner of Circumstance, is produced by Chan Hayes. He had Indiana Jones earlier this year, produced by Rich Gaines. He had Be That As It May, produced that came out last year, produced by Kunz. He had Mr. 1008, one of my favorite projects from last year, produced by Future Wave. So he been dabbling with different producers, but it's still in his pocket. I like to say it's still cut from that Alchemist tree. Of course, he had the project with Nicholas Craven, of course, that I enjoyed last year. So even though he's dibbling and dabbling with different producers, the sound is still the same, in my opinion. It's still in his pocket. He still get his raps off, his pain off, and I've been enjoying it. And this project, Prisoner of Circumstance, I enjoyed as well. Personally, I thought he was going to drop a project with Alchemist, like his post-accident car wreck first, but this project, it does sound like this happened before the car wreck. His voice sound the same and everything. 7 tracks, 2 records I would suggest y'all listen to is Flashback and The Love We Gave. Very, very solid EP from Boldy James. Just 7 records, quick in and out. And like I said before, I'm waiting on the official. This is my first project after my car wreck. And when that comes, like I said last week, that pain is going to hit a lot different. So shout out to Boldy James, and shout out to the producer as well, Chan Hayes, as well, with the Prisoner of Circumstance project. Make sure y'all check that out. Another project, Selektah, DJ based out of Boston. I'm more familiar with his work with Joey Badass and Coda the Friend. And, of course, he had his mixes on Shade 45. If you're familiar with Sirius Satellite Radio, Selektah. He dropped a project called Round Trip, 20 records. Definitely put me in like a mixtape vibe. Couple artists. It's a loaded feature list, but a couple artists, some notable names. You got AZ, Ransom, Benny the Butcher, Stove God Cooks, Wu-Tang Clan, Conway, Joey Badass, Cormega, Boldy James, who else? Coda the Friend, Russ, G-Eazy, IDK. Very, very solid feature list, 20 records. And like I said, put me in like the mixtape, like a Friday mixtape vibe. It was a Friday. I just saw it. I was like, let me check out this Statik. Just put it on, cleaning up the crib. Definitely mixtape vibes from this project. So shout out to Selektah, Round Trip. If you haven't already checked that out. Babyface Ray put out a record, All-Star Team. Just overall, I think for the summer, that's definitely going to be in rotation for me. The song is great. The video goes great with the song, in my opinion. Babyface Ray, once, like I said, with Boldy James, I guess it's just a Detroit down south thing. Like, I really like how those guys from Detroit operate, and Babyface Ray is definitely cut from that cloth as well. The video, he just came off a tour. You know what I'm saying? So the video definitely like a celebratory type of thing. Like, they at the crib, him and his homeboys. They got dancers, bottles, money. They just having an overall good time. And if you're familiar with Babyface Ray music, what he's saying just make you get some money, make you want to enjoy yourself, how he enjoying himself in the video. We don't got to do the most lavish thing in the world. We can just be comfortable, enjoy ourselves. Everybody get home safe. We having a good time. We got some beautiful women around, some good music going on. Babyface Ray, definitely one of my favorite artists. I think last year, one of his projects I had as one of my favorite projects of 2022. Very, very consistent artist. His style, I like how he gives you what you like from him in terms of his music, but he'll step out the box, go something out of pocket, but it still be like, okay, I see what you did there. You know what I'm saying? Either I like it or I don't. But this All-Star Team record, I definitely enjoy it. And like I said, the video makes the song 1,000 times better. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing when it sounds good in the whip, but it's another thing when you see the video and it all goes together. Like, it's not very thought out. It's like a simple, we enjoying ourselves. We some grown men. We got some money. We got some bottles. We got some dancers. We enjoying ourselves. So Babyface Ray, All-Star Team. If you haven't already, check that out. Now, another thing, man, this been on my mind for like the past week, and it's just funny how things work. Like, you have something on your mind all week, and then you see an interview or something that really correlates with what your thoughts was, and that's the case here. Tyler, the Creator. Tyler, the Creator had an interview with Rap Radar Podcast, Elliott Wilson, and B-Dot. And shout out to Elliott Wilson. I say it all the time when I talk about my dealings with podcasts. He threw me the alley-oop into the world of podcasting back in 2016. I was just graduating from college at Troy. I was in my apartment, you know what I'm saying, just a college student who just graduated. So at the time, 2016, do not judge me. I had some peach parmesan. I was just chilling at the crib about to play San Andreas or 2K or something like that. And he posted on Instagram. He posted Drink Champs. I believe it was Drink Champs' 3rd episode. It was with Jadakiss and Ja Rule. So I'm like, podcast, Nori, I'm familiar with. Jadakiss, Ja Rule, of course, I'm familiar with. Let me see what they talking about. What is a podcast? I just put it on. And like I said before, it made me feel like as a person just in his apartment, drinking this drink, playing the game, it made me feel like a fly on the wall conversation that's going over old 90s, early 2000s, hip-hop stories. So that will put me in the world of podcasting. Elliott Wilson posting Drink Champs. And fast forward from 2016 to 2023. You know what I'm saying? Funny how times work. So I got to give a shout out to Elliott Wilson. If you haven't already, check out some more of their Rap Radar podcast interviews. They've interviewed a lot of people from Will Smith, Rich Paul, Drake, Jay-Z, DJ Drama, 2 Chainz, Currency, Larry June. They interviewed the who's who. You know what I'm saying? So definitely check them out. But this interview with Tyler, the Creator, he talked about the estate sale project, which is basically the deluxe version of Call Me If You Get Lost. Talked about, DJ Drama, the influence and all that throughout his music career, how he's changed his music style, how his fan base has changed throughout the years, of course. But what really stuck home with me when he just started talking like as a creative, you know what I'm saying, how numbers doesn't need to affect your product. He gave a shout out to Jordan Ward, another guy I shouted out last week on the mid-year episode as well. He was saying how Jordan Ward has a song called White Crocs that he loves that at the time only had like 20,000 views. Now it has like 200, 300,000 views. And he's hoping that Jordan and his team and the record label or whatever is not saying, hey, we need something to go viral, get 1 million, 200 million views. Just stay to yourself. Stay yourself and produce the art you want to produce. And in the world we in now, that's what's going to resonate. And for me, being a podcaster who within the past week been heavy on my mind, it's like, why hasn't in my area, I'm not going to stick with my area too much in this conversation, but I had posted on Facebook like, dang, why nobody from my area really, of course, I ain't going to say nobody popped, but you know what I'm saying, why haven't we got to the point of if somebody asks, hey, who from your area has made it? And people always go back to not Johnson Austin, Dallas Austin and Chile. Yeah, they got roots in Columbus and around this area, but y'all know what I mean. You know what I'm saying? In the past 15 years, who can you say that's the person? And there's too many talented people around here, and I stay away from it. As a person who is a creative in this community, I personally stay away from it. It's like, no, I'd rather let the work, let your work speak. That's how I am. I'd rather let my work speak than me talk. Because if I just get on Facebook and just start typing, it ain't no telling what I might say. So I just be quiet. Within the past 6-7 years, I've been like that. It's like, hey, if I'm going to talk about anything, it'll be music or sports. But my personal feelings, I either keep to myself or I come in here and record and I just don't put it out. You know what I'm saying? Just some things I really just got to say, but, you know what I'm saying? It's a conversation for another day. But what he was saying was like, yo, just be yourself. Don't let numbers and all that. And then it got me to the loophole of just in the world of podcasting. Like, I just feel like I thought podcasts would be, I mean, it gets a bad rap because of the corny dudes or the corny women who just get on the mic and say anything. And I always say, like, if y'all are discussing what they saying, that's what brings the negative thoughts of podcasting. If you keep on highlighting these guys who disrespecting women, or you highlighting these women who saying the most outlandish things about men, that's what's bringing the negative thoughts to podcasting. But just be yourself, man. And as a creative, over the past week or so, and when he was talking about, like, yo, you post one thing to YouTube and get this many views. You post another thing on YouTube and get that many views. You post the same thing on TikTok and do this. Post the same thing on Instagram. When he started talking about that, I was like, okay, even though he's Tyler Creator, he's one of the top artists in the world, he's saying something somebody like me up and coming can still relate to. And I love when artists pull the curtain back and let you know, hey, we might be in different positions in terms of where we at, like from the outside looking in or in terms of charting and all that, but we still going through the same struggle. You know what I'm saying? Your numbers might just be different from mine, but I'm still looking like, well, that don't make no sense if I just did the same thing last week. And he's saying, yo, numbers should only matter to who they're supposed to matter to. The labels, the networks, or whatever. Let them people handle that. As the creative, you don't worry about your numbers. You just worry about putting the best product out that you can. And whoever it should resonate with, it's going to resonate with. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people think you just starting from here. Like, no, bro, I started from here. I started with, hey, y'all, Tyler, Stash House Podcast, from my phone a couple weeks ago. And I was like, yo, this episode, audio only. Guess what I was doing? Yo, Denver Nuggets, swept my Lakers, whoop-de-whoop, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? People don't want to see the groundwork. They just want to see the finished product. And I like, man, if y'all got these, like, going back to numbers, if you do got the numbers, salute. But when I press play, those numbers and that content and that product better at least be like, okay, I can see how they got these numbers. It got to be some type of balance with it. You know what I'm saying? So don't come to me with numbers when I press play and I'm looking like, okay, how did you get these numbers? Because this shit is ass. How did you get these numbers? Like, is it a cheat code or something I don't know about? Because this shit ass. How did you get these? You know what I'm saying? So it's the way of the world, though. It's the way of the world. I don't know how many people think like that. Like, I don't just go and see the numbers and think, oh, this is amazing. I press play. I skim through. It's just some thoughts I had. We're going to get into it more when these sports over with. Trust me. Sports slow, music slow. I'm going to come in here and start really just, like I said, I don't post it on social media. I'm going to start not editing out what I really want to say. How about that's the best way I can describe it. But that Tyler Creator interview, definitely check it out if you haven't already. And like I said before, all creators, whether it's podcasting, music, real estate, boutique, catering, whatever, man. If you in this creative world and you want to do something outside your work, outside your 9 to 5, hey, go for it. You know what I'm saying? Go for it. Me personally, I work a 9 to 5 and I do content creating. You know what I'm saying? I need some type of safety net. I need to know I got some type of money coming in. I ain't just about to just be like, hey, I'm all in on podcasting. No. Because the world of podcasting is still unstable in my opinion. I'm looking at these different networks and who's signing to who, and I'm like, yo, the product still, if anything, the product done decline rather than you know what I'm saying, raised the bar, in my opinion, when you sign to a network and podcast world. To be honest with y'all, it's very few podcasts I can say, damn, when they signed this deal, they got way better. A lot of cases in podcasting, when they sign them deals, they get with these networks, so they feel like they're getting too popping. That's when the product kind of, you know what I'm saying, like, damn, bro, I ain't check y'all podcast out in about 10 episodes. You know what I'm saying? So it's a business still with podcasting, but it's a nasty business, it seems. And it's even nastier with podcasting, I believe, than music, because music, it'd be nasty in terms of contracts, and yeah, that's super nasty. Like, damn, you in a bad deal, whatever. But it's different for podcasting when you talking and giving your opinion. Now it's like people come and say, hey, don't say this about this, or don't be so harsh on this. And it's like, damn, now you telling people how to, and you could tell, if you've been listening to podcasts, you could tell who switched it up and who don't go as hard as they used to. But like I said, that's a conversation for another day. But thank y'all for tuning in. This has been episode 214, Stash House Podcast. Wasn't going to keep y'all here long this week. I'm about to go jump in the pool or something like that. Enjoy y'all week. Stay safe. Be aware. Stay cool in the AC. Drink y'all plenty of water. And keep me in prayers. I'll do the same for y'all. Salute.